You're listening to the Heroes Power Hour presented by BlizzPro.com. Your hosts, Balrog fan Zexorus and DJ Tyrant. Welcome everyone to the Heroes Power Hour. This is the Heroes of the Storm podcast brought to you by BlizzPro.com. I'm your host, DJ Tyrant, and with me is the always awesome crew. Right below me, we have Balrog fan BP. How are you?
I'm doing great. I am ready for another week of talking heroes and having fun, and can't wait to get into it because we got a lot this week.
There is definitely a lot, and Zexorus, We'll unleash you in a little bit, but how are you doing, man?
Doing absolutely great. This new patch has me slightly confused, which, like you said, we'll touch here in a little bit. But yeah, it's been pretty good. An interesting week. Definitely an interesting week.
Yep, most definitely. And P Flame G over there in the corner, how are you, my friend?
I am in awe of Charlie's timing skills because when you asked us in real time how he was doing, his stream delay self waved. And it was amazing.
That's impressive.
And none of the viewers could know, but it was great.
I set these things up perfectly. I count down constantly within my own head to make sure that my stream delay self is properly being displayed for my future self.
There you go. Oh, yeah. But it's been a crazy week in Heroes. I just want to start out by asking how everyone's week was playing. I know PTR dropped yesterday, so I think everyone here got some playtime there. We'll start off with Zex. I know you had, I think, the most out of all of us. How was your week in Heroes, and how was playing on the PTR just as a whole? Before we dive into that,
confusing. In short, I don't know how to feel about this patch. It changes a lot of things, and there's some things that I don't think are the best, and some things I'm still deciding on, to be honest. But overall, I've been putting a little bit of time into the PTR this week just to get a feel for things, test things out, and see how they go. But like you said, we'll get to that here in a little bit.
Balrog fan, how was your week in Heroes or just in gaming in general?
Yeah, I got to play on the PTR a bit. I still haven't gotten a full match of Braxis, which is disappointing, but it's due to my obsession with Warcraft. But I think the PTR is good, and my initial reaction to things are Zarya has a chance to low-key be to double warrior what Tassadar is to double support in the pro scene. And I'm interested to see how that plays out, because I think she seems weak in the hands of bad players right now, but she also feels like she might be very strong in certain team comps, like to the point where she's a big problem. Her range is impressive.
Yeah, most definitely. And P Flame G, I know you were talking about in our Facebook group a little bit about trying to rank up, and there were some people you played with recently in Hero League that people might be interested in.
Yeah, I got to, I didn't team. I, by chance, ended up on a team with Talking Trees and Frozen X. So that was kind of a free win. I played Uther and just kind of healed those two as best as I could, and we won. But it was a good time. That's what I've been doing. I haven't actually touched the PTR yet.
Okay.
But I got 4 Hero League games in. And haven't gotten to play DPS yet.
Yeah.
But it'll come one day.
Okay.
3-1 so far. Promising. If I'm matched with Frozen X and Talking Trees, that's got to be good.
Yeah, that's got to help.
That'll help your placements.
Oh, yeah. Get me on that MMR tier, jeez.
Right.
But as for my week in gaming, it was a lot of Warcraft, but also a lot of Heroes as well. I've been playing just mostly in full groups, which is really like the best way to play this game. Lots of unranked draft, but also a couple team league placement matches, and one match with TBK and some of the Lords of the Storm viewers and fans there. We played a game, and it was on Cursed Hollow, and the opposite team first picked Vikings, so we were able to just completely counterpick that. Being a Vikings player myself, I know what's annoying to play against, so I was like, okay, pick Li Ming immediately, and we just dominated that. I mean, we lost like the early game, like the first minute or so of it, but then we got a pick off in the top and bottom lane of one of the Vikings, and basically went ahead in XP from there on. So it was a good match. And just a lot of unranked draft with various friends, just staying up way too late playing heroes. It's been a lot of fun, and I'm excited for this. But let's go into the big news of the week, which obviously is the PTR getting released yesterday. For some reason, this surprised me that it came out so soon, but Blizzard had like outlined the schedule of this already, so I shouldn't have been surprised, but it came very quickly after the release of Alarak. We have the Zarya patch now, and what was that?
It felt very sudden. Like, we had Alarak for what, 2 weeks? Or not even?
Oh, I think
his price hasn't dropped yet.
Yeah, his price hasn't even dropped yet. So, but Blizzard did say that Zarya was coming out 2 weeks after Alarak, so the PTR obviously is going to come before that. And a couple of heroes getting reworks that I wasn't necessarily expecting. I did hear rumblings about a Nazebo rework, so that was kind of cool to see. Obviously, I'm a big Malfurion fan, so I'm really excited for this rework. But before
they said, to be fair for Malfurion, that wasn't technically a rework.
I know, it wasn't a rework.
They said
it was
specifically,
some changes.
these are just some adjustments to the rework, which is
Yeah.
really cool to hear. We want to see those reworks on the supports that are underplayed.
Oh yeah. Obviously the new map is here, or new battleground. What's the name of it again? Brax's Holdout?
No,
Warhead Junction.
Warhead Junction.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's why I have you guys here to correct me.
Right.
I didn't play Warhead Junction yet. Did any of you guys play that yet? In initial thoughts?
Yes.
Yes.
Do you want me to go first, or you will?
Go right ahead.
This is a giant map. This map feels bigger than most maps do, simply because there's not a lot of maps this big that have the kind of rapid push potential that Warhead Junction offers. I feel moving forward, if you want to succeed in this map playing ranked or playing something like unranked, you're going to want to ban Sergeant Hammer, or at least set it up so you have the chance to pick her first. Her push potential is really good on this map because teams have to answer her presence no matter what. Because once you go ahead and start grabbing, basically these warheads spawn, and it can be up to like 5, I think I saw. 4? 4
no,
or 5?
You're right, 5.
5.
I believe 5.
And these are just items you pick up, and then you can walk forward and hit the F button and drop a giant nuke. Like, the size of... it doesn't really have a comparable size. I mean, like, ETC's Mosh Pit, slightly bigger, except it's, you don't do anything but stand in range of being able to use it, and then it drops down a massive siege damaging AoE ult, basically. And it's very scary to deal with, so the warheads become really important. But with the mount nerf and how big the map is, you really, really have to pay attention to rotations, objective spawns, and making sure you don't lose out on soak while also being able to respond to objectives and lanes that are being pushed. So it's probably one of the most unique hero maps released to date. There's nothing like it. There's nothing where you pick up an item and you use it to destroy other things at your own accord. And if you die without using that item drops, and the enemies can channel pick it up, or your teammates can channel pick it up. It just drops where you die. So there's a lot of things going on in this map that are... It's going to take an adjustment period, but my early impression is do not let your enemy team get Sergeant Hammer. That just felt like we ran into that, and it just felt really hard to deal with.
So, is there a general rule of you always want to use this on structures or enemies, or is it more like our team's really good at sieging, so we'll just win the team fight with it, or our team sucks at sieging, we need to actually get a structure damage with it?
I personally feel like the rule is early on you want to use them to get down at least 1 or 2 forts to leverage an experience lead. Then after that, maybe stockpile 3 or 4 of them for a core push because it does a lot of damage to the core. So what you want to do is you want to get a lead, push the rest down, because there are 2 bosses on this map. 2 bosses. So if you can get a boss push in a lane that got weakened and open up access to the core, after that it's all about just like grabbing some warheads as a team, winning those engagements. And if you go to a core with three warheads and the enemy team is in full strength, I'm going to go ahead and guess that's GG at the 12 to 14 minute mark.
Speaking of that, does it feel like the bosses are similar to the dual boss style of Cursed Hollow, or is it something completely different for this battleground?
I feel it's different just because both bosses are in the middle. This isn't like a safe boss versus a risky boss. This is 2 neutral bosses. Like this is like having 2 bosses on Sky Temple.
2 risky bosses.
Well, they're not necessarily risky simply because of how big the map is. You obviously don't go for them when it's risky, but if you have a lead, getting one of those bosses in a lane where you already control that lane is a huge deal. I've talked enough though, Willie. Give me your impressions.
So, for the most part, I'm in agreement with you. You are limited to 1 nuke per character. So stockpiling that many nukes is a risk in itself. Mm-hmm. I pretty much agree with you on the flow of the game and how you should be using your nukes early on. But in order to, they take a while to call down.
Yeah.
So you need a big setup, like a mosh pit, some kind, or an incredibly good body block. In order to maximize the effectiveness of those, you need someone with a lot of crowd control in order to make sure that nuke hits on as many targets as possible.
What I found, you don't necessarily actually need to hit the targets. If you have a character who has high mobility, when I was using Tychus, it felt like I had the opportunity to get in there, drop the nuke, and then dash back out. Someone like Tracer feels really good on that map as well. But go on.
Tracer, not so much, I would think, just because you've got to stand still for a few seconds, and depending on how long that takes, you may end up having to burn your charges a lot, your blink charges a lot quicker than you would want to. And then if things go further south, you're probably recalling back into a bad situation. So, but yeah, I think in order to team fight effectively on that map with the nukes, you need a long setup, Void Prison, anything like that. You need to be able to hold them in place for a while. But they do a lot. They do an incredible amount of damage. The Hammer game we lost, they dropped, like, I believe it was 4 nukes, and then our core was down to 25%.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's a ton of damage.
That is a huge amount of damage. It's absolutely... The amount it does is absolutely ridiculous. The bosses... I don't know how about to feel the bosses on that map. I mean, I think the bosses on there are almost too much of a risk to try without making sure you're up 2 to 3 bodies on the other team.
I agree.
It's not like Cursed Hollow where you can kind of safely take your boss if you don't see the other team on the map and you know they're doing their boss. Like it's not like that. It's much more risky to attempt it if there's a full 5 on the team.
So there's still a lot to get through, so I want to cut you off there. But we'll be getting this Battleground in game next week, and I'm sure we'll have a lot of thoughts going forward on this, and as well as the previous map that was released. I still feel like there's a lot of discussion to have there. But as the weeks go on, we'll talk about those Battlegrounds. But I wanted to really briefly go over Zarya in our initial thoughts. My first thought is she is not going to be a frontline warrior, and this might be another kind of weird classification by Blizzard, making her a warrior, kind of like how Rexar was in his initial release. Just because Rexar really has never been a warrior. He's more of a specialist, I feel, and Zarya kind of feels that way to a degree. She doesn't really have a whole lot of disruption. I don't feel like she peels as well, but her shielding is obviously very, very good. And I worry that because there's so many other heroes that kind of fill that role, Medivh and Tassar come to mind initially, and they're all in the meta currently. Zarya is going to have a hard time finding a spot, I think, in this meta right now, especially with the changes to the warriors that we're going to be talking about further. Zex, I know you have a lot of thoughts on this. We played some games and we saw Zarya in both sides, the games that we did play together. What do you think of her release here, and where is she going to fit in the meta?
I want to like her. I really do. I enjoy her concepts of being able to shield other people, but she doesn't feel impactful to me in any way, shape, or form. There's nothing about her that makes me go, oh crap, Zarya is on me. I need to get her off me. Or I need to protect my back line from this Zarya. Or anything like that. The shielding is nice, especially being able to give a shield to your ally that will help you with your damage. But it's really, really hard for her to accumulate that charge in order to do more damage. It takes so long for you to get a meaningful amount going, and I think she needs something like Sonya's Shot of Fury or something like that. Make her sacrifice, make her pick that I can get X amount of energy every 30 seconds. You know, that might help a bit, but and Fire Mage Guru just asked a really good question. Zarya and Hammer are absolutely annoying, especially on really large maps.
Yeah.
Because all that damage you should be able to put on Hammer suddenly gets canceled. And then Hammer just concussive shots you away, all kinds of stuff. Like, it's super annoying to deal with. It's essentially, I believe TBK mentioned on Twitter that it's like an 8-second cleanse. So, and damage prevention. And it's just, that's really, really good. But overall, like, you just stop hitting them. You know, you see the shield go up, you focus another target. You know, and she has no escape. She has no way to enhance her mobility.
Twitch chat, I love you. I just gotta get that out right. Charlie, what were your thoughts on Zarya initially?
I think she has her place, especially like she can kind of fulfill the things that Gazlo does in the ways where she is able to offer herself as a combo hero. She does that better than a lot of heroes simply because of her survivability. And her long-range bomb, I don't know what it's called, but it's very annoying. I feel like she has the ability to finish off kills better than any other tank in the game, and I think it's the particle grenade. But I felt like there were a lot of times where myself or my team members were about to get away, and we weren't used to the frontline tank, the person who was like being very aggressive, being able to toss something that far. So that's an adjustment you need to make, because the damage is significant. It will kill you if you think you're used to being able to run away because you created enough space between you and the frontline warrior. You get used to staying out of, something like ETC dash range, Diablo shadow charge, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But she just has basically a Tychus grenade to throw at you, and it's significant. And it also deals its damage is halved on structures because the hero damage is very good. So I think one of the things that's going to take some time is for players to adjust how to get around Particle Grenade and not let it kill them. But like I said, I think she has her place in specific team comp. She's great when you have a setup. She's someone who can pull people in, hold people in a position with her Graviton Surge. So it's like I said, it's like Gazlowe, but Gazlowe can't really survive when he gets too far out. She can. So it's one of those things where if you have it's not a pro seed thing, but if you have Nova, you have a giant AoE alt, a Jaina who is pro seed Kelthus pulling him in for pulling everybody to the center for a giant Pyroblast, or even just the Phoenix, whatever. She can set things up in a way most heroes can't while also surviving. So she's going to be used, but it's going to be in a very specific way when it's used effectively.
Carl, your thoughts real quickly? I know you didn't get the chance to play or see her played, but
yeah.
What do you think?
I've listed some of my thoughts in the chat. I think she's not going to be effective as Willie likes, because he likes to play Chen and Muradin and dive the backline and solo kill them. That's not Zarya. She's a supportive tank, really, and I think that idea is cool. And you can't always get a Tassadar or a Medivh, or maybe you need that front line, but you also want the added kind of support. So, idea-wise, I think she has a good space, and her ult comes attached to probably a better kit than Gazlowe's as far as making a wombo combo team work. The only bad part about a wombo combo team is you have to deal with Gazlowe the rest of the time.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Like I said, I haven't played her, so I think the shields are nice, but you're not a stun their Li-Ming and killer.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
All right, we're going to go through some of these hero changes and try to go through them quickly. We're going to go through the order that they are on the patch notes here. So early on, the first one, we're going to skip Li-Ming because it's not too critical what she's been changed. We'll talk more about that next week, I'm sure. But Tychus, Balrog fan, I know you're a big Tychus fan and like to play this hero. What do you think of his changes? I know initially you were not too happy with these, but have your thoughts changed?
I was worried about losing Shrug It Off because that was my go-to on level 1. The increase on Press the Advantage is significant. So, basically what Press the Advantage is, every time you use your E, his dash, you gain basic attack range. That got increased from 25% to 35%, which it feels like a lot playing it now. Maybe it's because I never really picked the talent because Shrug It Off was so good, but he still feels as good as he was. Because what Shrug It Off offered you was more of a resistance-based model to be able to press your auto attacks. Now you have the option to kind of dash away and still hit auto attacks, or dash in and hit auto attacks at max range, still building minigun stacks for when you get to level 4. So it's very good. Plus he got a flat health buff and a flat health regen buff. So he feels even... It's not that he feels more tanky, but it does feel like I got away with minimal health a lot more often. Because before you would use your E to mitigate damage and use that to either engage and get away or dash and get away from something where you knew it was kind of risky and you might need the mitigation. Now you're kind of in this weird spot where your E provides you with just the base dash, as it always does, but it's no longer almost like a shield or a whatever. But I think he's as good as he was before. I really do. I think the changes to Press the Advantage might actually make him better, just because if you use it as a tool to dash in and hit at max range, you're going to get more minigun stacks than you did before. So I might not be good enough to maximize the potential, but I didn't feel like there was a serious loss with Shrug It Off just being flat out removed.
Well, that's good for Tychus. Moving on, we have Nazeebo getting a complete rework here. We're not going to go through everything. You can obviously read the patch notes yourself. I don't think any of us played Zebo, but I did play against Zebo.
I played Zebo.
Okay, you did. Oh, well, we'll get to you in just a second. But the one thing I did notice at level 16, there is this new talent called Ring of Poison. It increases the duration of the zombie wall, and now it deals damage. This killed me quite a few times in one of the games I played. This is a scary talent. Charlie, what do you think, especially this talent, now kind of making people have to adjust their play around the zombie wall?
I think the main adjustment is Zebo players in general. It's very hard to play Zebo the way you used to play him. Gargantuan is completely different. It's a zoning tool that can also be used to create like a area that is impassable. So it's very good for pushing. It's very good for protection, especially if you take the level 20 talent where it almost has no cooldown. So I think Gargantuan is going to be the way to play Nazebo moving forward. His level 1 talents are very difficult to choose between. I feel lackluster on the Toad build. I think the Toads are so small now, you almost have to take the leaping Toads that gain size and strength as with
Toads
each
of
bound.
Hugeness.
Yeah, Toads of Hugeness, but even then, they start off so much smaller. All they're really doing is becoming a step above what they naturally were before this patch. I think moving forward, the way to go with this Nazebo builds are either it's gonna kind of center around whether or not you can make sure you get the most out of your level 1 quest talent option, which is Widowmakers for the spiders, or if you're going to play kind of a very safe harassment game with Things of the Deep. If you play the Thing of the Deep game, you're not going to be a big damage dealer, I believe. I think you need to take Widowmakers and buff spiders to maximize your damage amount. Thing of the Deep will allow you to harass, and which will allow you to push, especially in the early game. So it's kind of like, what do you need? I don't know that Nazebo is going to be as strong as before. He like I said, he just feels very weird and different. There's going to be an adjustment for a lot of Nazebo players, and I don't think the changes are necessarily a bad thing. It's just players are going to kind of have to find themselves. Because while I'm not a dedicated player, Nazebo player, I played a lot of Nazebo, and I didn't even know where to like start with some of these changes. I think Dead Rush and Ring of Poison are the way to go. Dead Rush allows like extra damage off of your W because zombies come up out of the ground after the Ring of Zombies is completed and chase a target. And as you said, Jimmy, if you manage to catch someone, or like when me and Willie were playing where he body blocked 3 enemies and I caught them and it was zombie wall that was hitting 3 players with the Ring of Poison active, it's detrimental late game. It's very strong. So a lot of pluses, but yeah, there's an adjustment.
Yeah, definitely still some questions going into this big of a rework. It's going to be a little bit of time before people figure this out and figure out where Zebo fits into this meta.
One thing too, Duffy0987 said, and I didn't get a chance to try this. He said the Ring of Poison talent is way better with the Thing of the Deep at level 1 because of that extra 20% range. It gives you that opportunity to trap more people or do it from far away and save a failed kill. Yeah,
be able to do it a bit safer. But continuing on, we're almost to you, Willie. We're getting there. But my favorite hero, Malfurion, getting some love. Like we were talking about before the show. Not a complete rework, but definitely some change quality of life adjustments. Take a shot. The Q is getting dropped for the cooldown, but it's also increasing in duration, and the heal tick is going to be less, but overall I believe it's a bigger heal. So it's going to be very interesting. I feel like Malfurion now is going to be a hero that you're just going to have to really kind of preempt your heals. I mean, because it's a 15-second duration and the cooldown is only 5 seconds, you're able to have regrowth kind of going on 3 different targets at the same time. So his healing over time is going to be huge, and it's going to be really interesting to see how he's able to fit in this meta. I feel like his healing alone isn't good enough to be a solo support, but having someone on your team with the shields, like we were talking about, Zarya, Tassadar, and Medivh, or something like that, will really help out his healing. And as well, the innervate got changed, so now that target's basic basic abilities cool down 50% faster for the duration of that innervate. Sadly, because innervate is a mana tool, it does not work on stuff like Chen. I was sad about that. I was really sad. I wanted to put that on Willie when we were playing the VTR, but it didn't work. I do like these changes.
His abilities are big. I think Malfurion's going to complement ETC quite a bit, especially if he gets a full rework. That innervate thing, because all of ETC's cooldowns are fairly large. Innervating ETC now kind of also offers the second benefit of faster stuns, faster procs on his block changes, whatever. I do think he has a spot, but it's only in the sense of spot healing your entire team, which means he'll never be as good as characters like Rhaegar and Uther. But that innervate change really creates some interesting opportunities.
And let's get into Willie's segment of the week. It's going to be this big Chen rework. I don't know enough about Chen, so I'm just going to let Zex go off here. Have fun.
All right.
Floor is yours.
Chen got a whole lot of changes. Some of the changes I'm coming to really like. Some of them I don't think they make any sense, in my opinion. So we got 3 new talents at level 1 in Accumulating Flame, Freshest Ingredients, and Elusive Brawler. Freshest Ingredients is his Regen Master, which now, once you hit that 30 regen globe cap, you now retain, I believe, half your shields after you're done drinking. They just stick around. So I think that's pretty a nice benefit. You still take it for Regen Master. The shield is just an added bonus that you're not going to remember about. Elusive Brawler is actually a really interesting talent against auto attack comps and comps that could potentially rely on things like Executioner. It especially kind of stuffs Tychus. So you get this every 20. You take Elusive Brawler, you pop the talent when people are going on you, and you dodge all basic attacks for I believe
2 seconds.
2 seconds?
Yeah.
And 2 seconds. So you're automatically just avoiding 2 seconds of minigun, essentially, which shreds Chen, shreds tanks. So, and then on top of that, every basic attack you do reduces the cooldown by 3 seconds, and it's on a 20-second cooldown. So that can come off cooldown fairly quickly. I almost think it's better than block. I think it's a better block, in my opinion. So, but the one I'm falling in love with really hard is Accumulating Flame, and it's a damage buff to his Breath of Fire. Every time you set an enemy hero on fire, you increase the damage of Breath of Fire or Fire Breath by 2%, up to 60 extra percent. As soon as you hit that 60 cap, you get a second of resistant per hero hit. So you hit 2 heroes, you get 2 seconds of resistant. You somehow hit 5 heroes, you get 5 seconds of resistant. It puts in a lot of work. It puts in a ridiculous amount of work at level 1, and especially against melee heavy comps or those engages we all do at level 1. Go fight in the middle. Chen gets a lot of early stacks just off that. So you already start your laning phase with extra damage. So I'm really liking that talent. I played with it almost exclusively today, and Chen is hitting around 70k. I think I fell just short of 100k 100k game in hero damage.
Yeah,
and
that was
that's
that one game we played. It was like
and-
90k, I think.
I
Yeah,
did one with Charlie today too.
90 and 92, both games.
Yeah, and
I feel like that
that's-
flame talent is the way to go. There's no question in my mind seeing it in action.
Yeah, and it's just a ridiculous amounts of damage. Now they've made some changes to some of his talents at level 4. Deadly Strike is now gives you now free brew kicks, and if you have shields up, you crit on your kick. So that's pretty much the way to go, because if you're a Chen player, you're taking brew balance no matter what. And that free brew kick, McIntyre was covered it in a video he did the other night. Free kick means every combo you land, you're on that sweet spot for brew. So you get both buffs from Brewmaster's balance when you're sitting at 50 brew. So that's really good. They added some talents to the 7 tier. They moved Boulder Flavor from 16 to 7. I don't like that. Boulder Flavor now instantly gives you a large shield, which kind of defeats the purpose of chugging. I can see why you would take it in some cases, but I still don't like it. I think it should be on a different talent tier. Refreshing Elixir, you gain 20% passive regen, and while you're chugging, that goes up to 60%. So, like, Charlie and I played a game where I actually thought about taking it because we had a Morales on our team, and I'm pretty sure that would have made me nigh unkillable. And I believe we still ended up winning that game, but like, I'm pretty sure that's going to hit some serious levels of absurdity. The downside is you're giving up Brewmaster's balance. So you're giving up the movement speed, the extra regen, and everything like that. So like, I would like to see them move it to level 4, maybe. 4 or 13. One of those two. They completely reworked Storm Earth Fire, which I think is the go-to ultimate on Chen now. All of your spirits now have different abilities. Storm will increase your movement speed by 50% for 5 seconds. Earth will let you jump towards somebody, and the radius, it slows enemies in a large radius by 70% for a second and a half. The radius on that slow is quite deceptive. You don't think you hit somebody with that slow, but you actually did, and you're kind of confused for a minute, and then you realize, oh, I should kill them. And then fire, it doubles your attack speed for 5 seconds, and that's the most ridiculous one. That's where you get all your damage from, is that attack speed buff. Like the old Brewlings, you used it to jump on people and body block them. And then you essentially used it as a second health bar. You can't do that anymore. If all 3 of your spirits die, Chen dies. So you actually have to be a little more careful. But with the abilities that the new spirits bring, you almost are encouraged to go more reckless. You know,
Willie?
within reason.
Willie, I'm going to have to put pause on this for just a moment so we can open up our raffle.
Oh, yeah.
Jimmy, do you want to explain the raffle?
Yeah, it is going to be for a $20 BattleNet card. This is for North America only. We found this out the hard way a few weeks ago, that it only works in North America, but make sure to go ahead and hit !raffle in chat, and make sure you are following the channel, and we'll be closing that in a couple minutes and giving that away. Yeah, Waffle works as well. Not really.
Show, but
yeah. Waffle does not work, but
Waffle does not work. Do not listen to our resident trolls of Shadow and P-Flame. But yes, type !raffle to join the raffle, and you could win that $20 BattleNet gift card used for any Blizzard game. Anyways, Willie, we cut you off around the level 10 talents.
Yeah, and that's pretty much all I had to say on the Storm Earth Fire. Like I tried Keg today, it didn't work. Keg, you won't get use. I don't think you'll get as much use out of Keg until level 20, as opposed to the immediate use you'll get out of Storm Earth Fire right out the gate. Like an example, we had a team fight right when I hit 10, and I popped Bruling ult and immediately got a double kill. And that happened consistently throughout that game. Popping that heroic led to consistent double kills on teams. They don't know how. Teams aren't going to know how to deal with it now because the Brulings are just completely different. Yes, I call them Brulings. But we're moving on to 13, and this is probably the most interesting change, in my opinion. With pressure point, they moved it from 16 to 13, and they've changed it from, if a target is not brew soaked, it's a 40% slow for a second. If it is brew soaked, it bumps up to 80, which is not so. It changes how you play, how you use that skill from there on out. Where old brew kick, old pressure point, you would just use it on someone trying to get away. And now you're going to use it to you're going to combo it to try to prevent someone from getting away. So it's not so much picking off that straggler as suppressing someone from getting out of a bad situation. So, I mean, that's pretty much it for 13. Withering Flames.
Willie,
yes.
I mean, this has been... end of the day, do you think Chen is better or worse? Because obviously some of these changes might not make it live. But the way you feel about him right now, do you think he's better or worse?
I think he's better, though my brain is arguing with me on that. Like, all the numbers I've been looking at the end of games, the number of deaths, the hero damage, even the siege damage, they're better. Like,
yeah,
I think the most damage I ever got on old Chen was about 70k, and that was a really good game.
I don't feel scared anymore when Chen is in front of me. I don't worry that he can only save himself. I feel like Chen creates enough disruption now to where I can follow him into battle, which makes him an excellent bruiser.
Yeah.
We'll see if all these changes make it live, but I really believe that he is going to be a force moving forward in two tank comps.
Yeah, and just super quickly as a support, I was surprised at how little I needed to heal you.
Yeah. The thing with Chen is at 16, if you take another round, you get a bigger AoE for Keg Smash, and you can double flame somebody. Like, you take Keg Smash, and with another round, the cooldown of the next basic ability you use is reduced by 3 seconds. So you Keg Smash, immediately Flame Strike somebody, or Breath of Fire somebody. Flame Strike. I don't even play Kale. And then you wait. You kick them, and then you flame them again, and they're eating just ungodly amounts of burn damage. It's honestly ridiculous. So, but I think at 20 we're looking at Storm Stout secret recipe, just because of how often you're hitting multiple heroes, or you should be hitting multiple heroes. Giving you that health back immediately is really, really good. So, I know we should probably be moving on.
Yeah. No, you're passionate about Chen, and that's what we love about you. But
we
really,
knew that a Chen change would happen and eat up at least 15 to 20 minutes of the show.
But quickly around the horn here, thumbs up or thumbs down on the PTR for these changes as far as like the health of the overall game. I'm giving it a thumbs up. Charlie?
I'm going to say thumbs up. I think the addition of Zarya offers some cool strategic comps. I think the changes to ETC are really good. I think the changes to Chen are really good. I think the changes to Nazeebo makes a different kind of Nazeebo that I don't really know about yet, but I still feel like Nazeebo is going to be very effective. And Tychus was lateral. I feel like Li Ming was lateral, and I also feel like Malfurion was slightly better, but also kind of lateral. So we'll see how all that goes moving forward. But overall, all those heroes got a plus, and most of those heroes were not considered overpowered heroes. So it's good to see those heroes that are mid to bottom range moving up.
All right, Carl, you've been pretty quiet. I want to hear your thoughts real quickly on the overall PTR notes.
I've been quiet because these are the weirdest changes I've seen in a while. These change how the heroes play, right? Willie doesn't like new Chen because it's different, even though he's getting better numbers. And he might like him eventually. Right now it's just weird. And the Zebo is weird. He doesn't have Toxin anymore. So I can't give anything until I've actually played it, just because it's not... These reworks really do feel like a rework, in that you're going to have to play these heroes differently, which could be good. It might alienate some of the existing players.
We didn't really talk about ETC too much, but now he has a talent at level 4 called Crowd Surfing that basically gives his Q the properties of Bolt of the Storm. So that's going to be something to look out for, especially in highly competitive matches.
That's going to be so buggy.
I think it's no more buggy than Heroes of the Storm. It has the same properties. What's going to be buggy about it is where you're used to being able to stun people, it's no longer going to stun those people. So that'll be interesting to see.
Yeah,
also,
for sure.
The thing where he adds blocks every time his trait is activated to surrounding heroes is going to be very stuffy for.
Yes, and the sustained damage meta the pros are in right now, ETC is going to be even better.
I feel like he's auto ban in the pro scene.
He's approaching that.
Or at least the pros are saying, are you going to let us have ETC? Much like they did with Zagara upon her changes. But
also, just real quick, the buff to, what's it called? They gave him back like level 7 AoE damage, didn't they? For split pushing?
Yeah.
Echo Pedal?
Yeah.
So we'll see if that makes a resurgence again.
I think it's a strong ability, and there's not many options that are like, it's not an auto pick tier, so.
Yeah, well, the thing is, will that make them pick stage dive?
Oh, no, never.
Never?
Never.
Never happening.
Maybe once in a while, but Mosh Pit is so hard to pass up, especially now that your Q can go through walls, so. I mean, I would be surprised if I saw stage dive. Let's just say
for sure.
All
right. So
Speaking
moving on, we're going to talk a little bit about the pro scene. We had an event this weekend, a crowdfunding event called Bloodlust, put together by Solid Jake and his new company Arcane 8. And the winner was Naventic. So the North American scene is pretty volatile right now, I feel like. Murloc is definitely the unquestionable number one in the scene right now, I feel like, for our region. But Naventic did storm through and were able to beat Gale Force Esports 3-0 in the grand finals. And they had gone through the winners bracket, did get knocked down in the losers bracket, so they had because of how the tournament was set up, they had a 1-0 lead in that best of 5 going into it, so they only had to win 2 games. And I didn't get to catch those, unfortunately, but I heard they were very good games and lots of medic play. Kenma really is banging the drum of medic play right now for supports, and really has put in a lot of work to make that hero happen. But I think that was unfortunately a little overshadowed by the drama that was kind of started through Denial Esports. They lost in the winners bracket 2-0 to Gale Force Esports, and then promptly dropped out of the tournament. It was very abrupt, and they announced it on stream, and almost immediately the backlash from the community was very negative on Twitter and Reddit. King Caffeine very quickly came out and had a statement, though, that it was one player who basically was like, I don't want to play anymore right now, and they dropped out of the tournament, which is awful. And oh man, I just want to roast Denial so much for this. I mean, this feels like their confidence is just completely gone going into the BlizzCon. This is the worst time for your team to kind of be falling apart. But I have to give credit to King Caffeine for not saying who the player was and throwing them under the bus. I mean, that is totally a class act, I feel like. And Denial, though, we're really disappointed that this happened, especially with a community-funded tournament like Bloodlust was. I want to hear your guys' thoughts. So, Charlie, why don't you start off?
I will not guess at who was the member who was responsible for this. I like you, I applaud King Caffeine for saying, we're not saying who the member is, but that member is being fined. They claim that the member is experiencing a lot of personal issues in their own life, which created added stress in this situation. No matter what, though, at the end of the day, you're at a crowdfunded event playing a video game that you really love. You need to finish. There is no bowing out of a tournament because you're not happy about the results. That is unamateur Bush League crap that shouldn't happen. And whoever did that should be ashamed of themselves and needs to come out and apologize to the community and to the people who donated to that event. Because this wasn't just a regular event where you go, oh, we're way outclassed here, let's drop. This is a crowdfunded event that people paid to see. This is the general population, the general, fan base of Heroes of the Storm saying, we want an extra tournament. We're willing to put money into a prize pool to make this tournament happen. Please make it happen. And a team takes their ball and goes home. That's garbage.
Yeah, I will add actually really quickly that King Caffeine did also point out that this player was fined an undisclosed amount, so that the organization themselves did punish this player for this. I think kind of setting the precedence for them to not be doing this in the future.
Right. And that's what I applaud at King Caffeine for.
I kind of disagree with setting a precedent, because if we don't know how much the guy was fined, then there's no precedent. It could have been
there's a precedent.
Give me all the money in your pocket, or
right.
Yeah.
The people on the team probably know how much he was fined.
Yeah.
So,
still,
as far as that org goes,
I kind of think the amount of the fine should be public, even if the member's name is not. Side note, I'm going to kind of be paying attention to who Denial drops after BlizzCon, because you're not going to drop I don't care how many problems you're having in your life, take the bench instead. That's why subs exist. If you're having that much problems, just sit on the bench, get your stuff together, come back when your head's on straight.
Exactly.
This
is why subs are an option for a lot of teams. And
exactly.
If you're experiencing that many personal issues in your life, coming out after a team drops because one player goes, wah, I don't want to play anymore, it kind of feels very like fake explanation-y. Like there's no real merit behind that excuse when you say, oh, this guy's experiencing well, did they just start like in the middle of that tournament?
Yeah,
because that seems unlikely.
And I'm sorry, when did Denial get a toddler on their team? Because
exactly.
I don't like how this is going. I don't want to play anymore. I'm going to take my ball and go home. That's 2-year-old stuff.
It would have been different if it was at the start of the tournament. Before the tournament started, we have to drop one player's head is just not here right now. We get it, and we can't play as a team moving forward. This was after a loss.
No, the thing is, Murloc Geniuses did not participate in this tournament. They were invited because of their performance at regionals, but they had, I guess, already planned a vacation week or just time away from the game, so that's why they didn't even play in the tournament. And I think that's okay, because that's beforehand. Exactly. Everyone knew what the situation was.
Participated on Twitter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Carl, any closing thoughts on this?
I think it's unfortunate. It's what happens when you get a team. You've got 5 guys who were probably 20. King Cav is 29. He's the one that was actually mature about it. You got 4 guys that are 20. You got a team whose whose management probably lives 4 hours, 10 hours away from you, and you're just kind of at an online event running your own thing, and they don't have a coach to hold them accountable, to tell them you don't have a boss really. You have a guy who offers you sponsorships and maybe a small salary, but it's nothing to write home about. And so then the players just kind of have this environment where they think it's okay. And I'm not saying oh yeah, well, it's not the player's fault. He didn't have a coach. Clearly the player was dumb. But just with this infrastructure in esports as it is right now, these things happen, right? And it's You don't see it happening on the bigger esports teams. Like, I come from League, so like TSM Cloud9, right? Cloud9's out of Heroes though now. We don't have a lot of huge teams. I mean, Fnatic's still in Europe, so they're probably good, but just with these tiny, I never heard of Denial until they started up, so they probably don't have a lot of structure, and the players just can kind of do whatever. Yeah, and it happens.
Yeah, so more positive news, though, in the world of esports is we have our second team from Korea that qualified just recently in the best of 5 series. It was MVP Miracle winning 3-2 over Tempo Storm, formerly Tempest, also the Summer Championship winner. So no Tempo Storm at BlizzCon. Korea is going to have 2 MVP teams there with MVP Black and MVP Miracle as well. So Korea's looking really, really good for this BlizzCon. And I really don't think anyone's going to be able to stop them unless Murloc has something up their sleeve, or one of the European teams as well. I think this is a fairly easy 1-2 for Korea once again.
Murloc has shown that they're very good at adjusting to patches on the fly and bringing secret tags. So with this patch change going live shortly before BlizzCon, Murloc has a chance. And also I wanted to point out one thing. We focused on a lot of negatives about Bloodlust, mainly the Denial Esports member dropping. But overall, Bloodlust was a highly successful tournament. And if you have the means and the opportunity to donate to a crowdfunded Heroes experience, do it. Because other than that, this was a very largely positive experience.
Yeah, I'm sorry to drag down the whole Bloodlust thing with that. But yeah, it was something that we had to talk about. Yes,
the
it was a good
Peppercast
tournament.
was great.
Peppercast is great.
Yeah,
and one
if you
team
missed
did
it,
win with Bloodlust. So
yeah, that was Dumpster Tier, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
I believe so. But yeah, there was like a incentive for a team to win with Bloodlust. I think it was like $500 or $1,000 or something like that. So a team did hit that, which was really cool.
11,000,
but yeah,
isn't it?
11,000 total. So 8,000
okay.
to a little over 8,000 in the first place, and a really fun tournament over the weekend. Okay, so more positive about this, but Bloodlust felt like, to me, how Home Story Cup felt like in StarCraft, where it was just a bunch of friends casting together, really like loose casting, not staying tight, just off the cuff stuff. Zoya was just destroying these players. I mean, he just like laid into Glaurung from Denial. He was like, once you eliminate his hero pool, he's just terrible. It was awful. Like, seriously, I'm not even exaggerating what he said. Go back and watch the VODs and you can see all the casters kind of just tore into everybody.
I enjoy watching the summit for Dota 2 just because they get other players in on the casting from time to time, and you haven't lived until you heard No Tail just trash talk other teams just the whole game. It's absolutely hilarious, and Zoya was just giving me that vibe, and it was really entertaining to watch.
Yeah, and we have one more segment we're going to briefly go over, but I wanted to close out the raffle for the Battle.net gift card, $20 for North America. Make sure to get in those raffles, and we'll draw those in just a minute. But we have Balrog's favorite segment, the What's Hot on Reddit segment. We had a really great post by a player about the MVP system needing some work. Charlie, you want to talk a little bit about that?
Well, basically it broke down how the MVP prioritizes things which, for the most part, represent who deserves that honor, but sometimes it's not so much. He cited that the worst player on his team, who was a Chen, who died 3 times more than anyone and practically lost them the game, was only on the list from his team for most damage soaked. Now that doesn't sound right. Like, you shouldn't be getting an award for most damage soaked when that most damage soaked only happened because you were bad at your positioning and you were dying a lot. So something that might need to be addressed in the MVP system and the whole rewarding players for saying things like, hey, you soaked the most damage, aka you were in the thick of things and never really did anything to impact the game other than take hits. So you shouldn't be awarded for that at the end of the game. Your face shouldn't be there. He says he would suggest looking at death count before awarding something like the Bulwark achievement. Anyone with a high percentage of deaths, he says, shouldn't be eligible for post-game credit. If their percentage of death is drastically higher than other players throughout the game, they probably shouldn't be, thought of as an MVP or someone who deserves an award for their gameplay, because it encourages bad gameplay. It only sort of enforces the fact that they did nothing wrong, because they can say, hey, I got this. So, yeah, but dude, you got that and you died 12 times. You lost us the game. You don't deserve an award. So there is that, too. And the MVP in the next game he played was an Abathur, who basically got it because he didn't die once, which that seems to be a prioritization. Like, if you didn't die at all, the MVP prioritization seems to fall on that player. But if you die a lot, it doesn't seem to negate it. There's like a small window, it feels like, where if you die between the 1 or 3 count, like, you're more likely to get MVP than anybody else. But he said this Abathur didn't soak well, didn't split push well, didn't create experience gains or provide a presence in team fight, but he got MVP because he had a decent amount of hero and siege damage and didn't die, which that was in a losing effort, by the way. So that's the kind of thing where Abathur probably shouldn't get the MVP there. So he ends this post by saying the MVP system is awesome. I love it. There's great things about it. And this is me paraphrasing it, but he thinks there's definite improvements that could be made to the system in the way it prioritizes who gets awards and who was voted MVP. And this actually had a Blizzard response on it where they kind of said, we agree with you and we appreciate the feedback.
Yeah, that was really awesome to see Blizzard responding directly to this. And it was a really good thread overall. I mean, I know a lot of threads on Reddit can kind of devolve into a bit of a negativity, but I think this was all, we like the system, here's ways to improve it and make it better.
Yeah,
so
everybody
that's really
was
cool.
providing examples. That was what was like, hey, this might not be so good here, and hey, this might not. These are the kind of threads that Blizzard looks at and actually, like, integrates into their process of changes. So more threads like this are great.
Yeah, for sure. But let's go ahead and roll for that Battle.net gift card. I have closed the raffle that has been open for long enough for everyone to, I think, get in there that wanted to. And our winner is going to be Soul Seeker XX. Thank you for following the channel and coming by and checking out the show. I'll be giving you a message on Twitch from my account, my personal account, DJ Tyrant. So make sure to look out for that shortly after the show.
Congrats on Soul Seeker XX.
For sure, but I wanted to get your guys' final thoughts on the MVP system in that thread really quickly. Zex, what do you think of it and the feedback that kind of Blizzard provided?
Nobody's going to agree on the MVP system. There's always gonna be something wrong with it. This guy didn't deserve MVP because my dad didn't hug me enough as a child. Someone's gonna have something to complain about it. It's there for people to feel good about themselves, even in a losing effort. Hey, we just got steamrolled, but hey, at least the game notices I wasn't entirely terrible. I do agree with some of the points the thread makes in that the qualifications to get on that screen need to be tweaked a little bit, but for the most part, everyone's going to complain about something. Just enjoy it for what it is.
Carl?
I think it's good. It's a simple, hey, recognize, this guy did some good damage or siege damage or soak damage, just little things people like to notice and you can be proud of, and then you leave your screen 10 seconds later. I don't think there's really a lot of negatives to it. You could say, oh man, he got the MVP, but he didn't really deserve it. But does it actually matter? No. So.
Yeah, not too much. But yeah, I was happy with this thread. I really liked the positive feedback from the community and from Blizzard itself. And we're going to start closing out the show, but before we go, make sure to stick around, though, if you're watching live here on Twitch. as we do have a play portion after every show, and we're going to be doing ARAMs. I think we have enough people here tonight to be able to do that. So make sure to join the Blizz Pro channel in game. We're going to do this on live right now. So as soon as the show is over, we'll get that rolling. But also, we have our
One quick thing I want to point out to new chat members. If you don't get in the first initial ARAM game, we will prioritize people who asked for the second game. So even if one of our members has to sit out for Game 2, we will make sure that if you wait through Game 1, we will do our absolute best to make sure you're in Game 2.
Yeah, most definitely. Our patrons will get priority, though, because we want to give them the opportunity to always be able to play with us because of their support of the show. Patreon.com/Heroes Power Hour is where you can go to help support the show and all the assorted costs with running the show every week. We have all these different hosts all around the country. All sorts of hardware and software issues come up, and this really helps towards that, as well as helping give back to you, the listeners, with our giveaways and the like. So thank you to our patrons who are already supporting us. We really appreciate it. And as always, you don't have to, but if you feel the need to or the desire to, we will always appreciate any support you can give. And make sure to check out heroesthestorm.blizzpro.com for build guides all throughout the week. I know, Zextrus, you have some coming out or already out, but make sure to keep an eye for that.
Yeah, the Tyrael build's already coming out. There's a Sylvanas build coming out next week. And I'm currently... I don't know if I'm going to do a Chen rework or if I'm going to do what I was planning on doing and going with a Medivh build.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, make sure to check that out. It is going to be coming. Also, check out the YouTube for BlizzPro, youtube.com/BlizzPro for all the videos that get put up there for all the Blizzard properties. And make sure to check out the other shows on the BlizzPro network. Wednesdays at 6 p.m. Pacific. That's tomorrow night for those of you watching live. Is the West March Workshop. They just celebrated episode 100 with a really awesome show. But make sure to check that out if you're into Diablo 3 news.
Great episode.
Yep. That's also on the YouTube channel, so check that out if you missed it. Thursdays at 7 p.m. Pacific is also a show that I am on called the Payload Podcast about all things Overwatch. And then Sunday at 7 is Well Met for Hearthstone.
They just had an amazing deck builder. His name is blanking, but it was a really good show last Sunday.
Most definitely. I think that is going to be... Well, discord.blizzpro.com. Our patrons also get rewards there as well as everyone else comes and hangs out with us. It's a really great channel. It's been growing slowly, but I think we're getting a lot more people in there, and there's always new content for me to look at whenever I check out the channel on Discord. But yeah, I think that's it. I feel like I've exacerbated myself. Charlie, any final thoughts?
No, just join the Blizz Pro channel in game / join Blizz Pro, and you can chat with us when we're in game. It's the easiest way to join games with us, especially after show. Check out my various stuff. I have my own Twitch channel. I do another podcast called Flask Action Heroes, so check that out if you want. Willie?
Thank you, everyone, for checking us out this week and sticking around. I've got a new Twitch channel, Zextrus Heroes. That's basically going to be where I'm doing speed runs of various RPGs that I enjoyed in the past. I'm working on Phantasy Star 4 right now, and where I go to stream pretty much everything right now. So I hope you guys come over, check it out, give me a follow, and that's it for this week.
Cool. Carl, anything before we go?
Not much. It was good to see a lot of new faces in the chat, talking a whole bunch. So thanks for coming out.
Yeah, seriously, thank you guys. Yeah, thank you guys in chat for talking with us. I know we didn't get to respond to everyone on the show necessarily, but we do check that obviously in there. You can see all the swords there talking back to you guys. So thank you so much for your conversation, and a huge thanks as always to Blizzard for promoting us on the launcher and on their Twitter account. I will never grow tired of seeing our show promoted there. That is so awesome. So thank you to Blizzard. Really appreciate it. And we will see you next week. Make sure to stay tight and we'll see you in the Nexus.
Stay tight.